The bell rings, but the adrenaline doesn't decrease. 3 policemen, 3 breaks, 3 moments when the profession destroyed them from the inside. They survived from a shot in the dark to a decision that cost them their careers, but the price was high. It's not a TV series, it's their truth. Are you ready to hear what's behind the gadget? If you like the video, I'd appreciate your like and subscribe. Currently on duty typing this from my phone, lunch, so there might be some mistakes, but I'll give this a shot. In 2023, I was working as a police officer in a medium-sized city in North Carolina. I have taken hundreds of calls and been in tons of stressful situations, but nothing like this ever happened to me. I received a call for a domestic disturbance between a son and his mother. Instantly, I felt a pit of anxiety, instantly similar to when I was responding to a shooting. Although it is common to feel emotions going to a call, this one was routine in the sense I've dealt with hundreds of domestic situations. I arrived at the home, and I don't know how to describe the feeling I felt, but my entire soul was screaming, "Wait for backup before you approach." So I did. Backup arrives and I make contact at the door to see the two standing on the kitchen arguing. The son immediately looks at me and says, "Oh, you called them," and walks quickly to his right down a hallway. I'm still standing outside the door because I was not invited in. This is where it got weird. While he was out of my view, my soul started telling me what was about to happen. It was telling me, he's going to come at you with a knife. Back up. This thought dominated everything, every sense, everything, to the point where I didn't know what the mother was saying. I couldn't make it out because this feeling, very, very specific. It was not vague at all. I was being told he will come at you with a knife. I took a couple steps back, and he came out the door running at me. I unholstered my duty weapon and pointed at him while yelling at him to stop. I started running backwards while he is walking quickly towards me holding a knife. He kept repeating, "Shoot me." Eventually he realized, I guess I did not want to kill him, and went back inside after trying to aura-voke me shooting him. Won't bore you with the rest, but he ended up cutting his wrist, and SWAT came and got him to come out by buying him a pack of Surgerates, and he was transferred to the hospital and treated with no criminal charges. That's about it. Any thoughts what took place? The sensation was so powerful it took over. It's really difficult to put it into words. Almost like it was reacting and I was just watching TLDR. Somehow predicted my exact future and reacted accordingly possible, saving my own life and the suspect, who was having a mental health crisis. So today I have resigned from the role of police constable, which I had thought was my dream job, in GMP after exactly 1 year since starting the role. This is more to document my thoughts, findings, and feelings. A debrief for myself, if you will. I'm a tad older than most who started, being in my mid-30s. I had a world of confidence in talking to people in my previous role, which put me in good stead when out and about, finally dealing with the public. Being a police officer was something I'd thought about doing for years, but life sometimes gets in the way. In 2022, I finally took the plunge and got in. I was over the moon and found a sense of purpose I'd never had before, in a professional sense. What better motivation to get up in the morning than to help the public and uphold the law? I wanted to grasp it all with 2 hands. I enjoyed the uni side, even though most didn't, and took it as an opportunity to learn about the role before being thrown into the deep end. Finally landing on district, I won't say which, but it's a busy one. My first observations were that the cops weren't exactly a welcoming bunch. There was a weird atmosphere in the NIC and in the tutor unit. I chalked it up to everyone being stressed and busy. There's an assumption on you as an individual that you're ready out the box when you start the tutor phase. You really are thrown into situations, which I didn't mind, as that's the way I learn best. From speaking to colleagues, this period with your tutor is very hit and miss and can make or break you. You'd assume that tutors would actively want to tutor, but it's not often the case. After 10 weeks, I was signed off as independent, and this is the point where you really get shafted with workload. You'd be put on appointment duty, flying from address to address, not knowing what was waiting for you and picking up the crimes along the way. As a rookie, this was very intimidating. I could be finishing the day picking up a high-risk domestic crime, not having a clue how to progress it. Throughout your set of shifts, such as the demand of GMP, you'd also get allocated crimes from a queue that officers hadn't responded to. This was very much a tombola of crap. You'd either not have the time to sort or not have a clue how to sort. I slowly started to see that the aim of the job was to not deal with crimes as they should be, but actively avoid them and close them off as soon as possible. This was very disappointing to me, as it's not what I'd envisioned. I came round to this way of working, trying to be proactive and squeeze in quick visits to victims' addresses in between jobs, which was insanely difficult, and trying my best to get crimes closed. Such was the volume given out to each officer. It's very overwhelming seeing your crime page populate with 20-30 crimes, all needing action. There could be anything from urgent arrest attempts to CCTV trawls within these crimes you'd not done any primary on. The unmanageable workload is then compounded by a team of office bods who have no idea what the stresses of response policing are like, who review every crime you send for closure. It's their job to scrutinize every closure rationale, and you'd often have crimes sent back to you after a week of closing it, as they have decided you've essentially not done a good enough job in the first instance. The bureaucracy is ludicrous. All this is before files, dreaded files. At no point are you shown how to do a file. Any arrest on a shift and it's game over, you'd be pretty much guaranteed to get off late due to completing a file that will tomorrow be binned off anyway after interview. Now on to briefings, which felt like a daily rollicking. For what is such a demanding and stressful job, support from supervision was few and far between. I'm not sure if it's a power thing, a culture thing, or a bit of both. What I didn't appreciate was supervision micromanaging before a 10-hour shift. If cops can't be at least civil with each other, what's the point? The people out on the streets sure aren't. Again, something is just off about the culture. Many who join straight from college or uni probably won't see it as much, but I've had a few jobs and life experience, and something just didn't sit right. You could tell who was new in service, as they'd at least smile and let on as you walked past. I thought I was loving the job, until one day I came round to thinking, actually, no, this isn't quite right. I was going into work miserable. Finishing on time was a rarity, and starting a shift not having a clue when you'd get back home became draining. I just decided life is too short. I can earn better money in a less frosty, stressful environment without working hours that take over your life. You get zero work-life balance. I've not even got onto the diploma you're expected to complete in your spare time in order to become substantive as a constable. This isn't a job, it's a life, which may work for some, but I started to realize I was spending my rest days either exhausted or worrying about my next shift. Life is too short. I never got the sense the cops was a nice place to work. The default culture is to moan, and after a year, I can see why. It's a role you either stick at and become hardened yourself, or get out before that point. I chose the latter. Throughout training, every one of us was told to do their 2 years on response and get off it. I realized I didn't even want to do that. My district has the highest amount of officers resigning, and I'm not surprised. What's the answer? I feel like with the police, there's a suck it up, that's the way it is culture. Couple that with how it's a role which requires you to show no weakness. It feels like nothing will change, as that's just the way it is. I would have regretted not trying the police, but I don't regret leaving. A few times a year, I respond to a call that really sticks out and lingers with me for a while. All first responders know what I'm talking about. The day was warm and breezy, not humid at all. Honestly, a perfect day to work the evening shift. I started out taking a couple cold calls. People's mail stolen, car got broken into, old people getting scammed over the phone. While I was standing in a retro, wood-paneled living room, reassuring frail Mrs. Smith that her account was not actually hacked, I hear the radio. "Can I get a unit to start to so-and-so address?" Caller states that his daughter has hung herself from the tree in their front yard. Medical is started as well. My heart sinks once I take in what they aired, and I realize that's only like 6 blocks away. I give Mrs. Smith my business card and quickly explain to her to email me if she needs any more assistance. I run through her brown-colored living room and out of the house to my patrol car. Dispatch show me clear of this and en route to that. I make a U-turn, flip on the lights and sirens, and crank my radio up so I can hear better. Other officers start keying up as well. Units responding, it appears the father won't answer call takes questions, and we have no more information. Is it a prank? Is it actually real? I wonder this to myself because these calls have happened before, and it turned out to be nothing. Fingers crossed, I hope. I get there within a couple minutes from the call coming out, and another unit shows up right in front of me. We park a house away and begin running up to the listed address. I again think about how nice of a day it is. The sky is a perfect blue, and the clouds are white and puffy. I see a big, broad magnolia tree in the front yard, branches hanging low. The flowers among the dark green leaves were big and blooming pure white, not pink yet. Creeping out from the bottom of the branches, holding those pretty leaves and flowers, I see a pair of legs in jeans from the thigh down, with black high-top Converse shoes on the feet, suspended about 3 feet off the ground. God damn it. My partner runs under the branches and I follow. He grabs the girl around the waist and lifts her up. I can hear an audible gasping of air coming from her mouth. We might have made it in time. We can save her. Another bout of wishful thinking on my part. I see a long blue cloth around her neck, the other end tied onto a thick tree branch. I immediately take out my pocket knife, reach up above her head and begin sawing at the cloth. It breaks quickly, and we both help lay her down on the grass in the shade under the tree. I see the cloth is really digging hard into her neck, so I carefully start cutting it away as my partner begins CPR. Other units start showing up. At this point, I'm kneeling, and I see the father sitting on the front steps about 20 feet away in tears, rubbing his face. His baseball hat falls off. He's on the phone and screaming, "She's gone, okay, I don't know. She's just gone. Get here." Other officers move his way. At this point, I look down at the girl. She has short black hair, skinny, late teens. She's wearing a dark shirt with glitter on it in the shape of a bear. She's laying there, neck elongated, arms stiff, but she looks almost peaceful with her eyes half closed. Now it's my partner, my LT, one other officer, and I under the shade of the big magnolia tree with what I quickly figured out to be a corpse. The gasp of air must have been a tension release on her lungs when my partner lifted her up. Medical arrives on scene soon, and they run up to us. Within seconds, they look at her, see the rigor mortis in her arms, and tell my partner to stop CPR. The medic touches the body in a couple spots, then looks at us and says, "She's gone, guys." They go back to their big vehicle and grab a white blanket, where they return under the tree shade and cover it up. At this point, I notice some neighbors are starting to come outside and see what's going on. All of us find some work to do. I see a plumber walking from the front entrance of the subject house to his work truck, which is parked in front. I stop him and start asking questions while other officers stay with the body, talk with the family, or look for surveillance cameras in the area. "Well, yeah, I saw the body hanging in the tree when I got here like an hour ago," the plumber answers me. "Did you tell anybody?" I ask. "No, I thought it was a leftover Halloween decoration and they just hadn't taken it down yet." He appeared unbothered. I start asking more questions. Then I see him tearing up and turning his head. I soon find out he's a family friend and that his daughter was friends with the now deceased teenager. I hear him, and I'm trying not to tear up while also semi-questioning, but also trying to comfort the guy. I ultimately let him hang out inside his van to make calls and chill out before having him write a witness statement. Apparently, the normal human brain will not accept something as morbid as a young lady hanging herself in real life, so it calculates what would make the most sense: holiday decor. Other officers did find surveillance footage from the house's doorbell camera. Turns out the girl had walked outside before noon, hung herself, and had been there since. It was several hours later at this point. That big, beautiful magnolia tree with its fragrant white flowers covered up the view so nobody could see her. Nobody could help in time. We cleaned up the scene within a couple hours, left the house, and continued our shift. I got an email from Mrs. Smith and had to talk her through some settings over the phone a bit later that day. I answered a few other mundane calls. That night, I got into a fight with a guy that I pulled over who had a warrant. Then I took him to jail, all in a day's work. That stranger, who I've never met before, with her dark hair, glittered shirt, and long neck, appeared in my dreams for the next 2 weeks. The dreams weren't scary. They weren't stressful. She was just there. But I knew exactly who she was each time she emerged. I've responded to hangings and suicides before, but for some reason, this particular one stuck out. This call, though, had a beautiful magnolia tree sprinkled into the mix, so maybe that was the difference.